and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who, The Trial of the Time Lord, parts 9 to 12, The Terror of the Vervoids, which is the third segment of The Trial of the Time Lord, and the third story, if counting these as separate stories, for Season 23. So, The Trial of the Time Lord, parts 9 to 12, Terror of the Vervoids. How is this one? It's okay. It's good. It's really good. And to be honest, when people say the Sixth Doctor era has bad writing, because at this time recording, I've now completed the Sixth Doctor era. I've watched parts 13 and 14. I'll be doing that review in a minute. Well, not a minute, but you know, in a few minutes. But yeah, when people say the Sixth Doctor series got bad writing, I beg to differ. Okay, there's a couple of stories. Twin Dilemma, Time Lash, and even parts 1 to 4 of Trial of Time Lord, but the rest I feel have actually pretty good writing, and they got quite a lot of good effort into it. So yeah, I honestly don't know why so many people hate this era in terms of the writing. I mean, yeah, the writing for the character, okay, I can understand that, but the stories, not so much. Okay, so what happens in Terror of the Vervoids? Okay, the Doctor is now presenting his defense to the court, and to be honest, there isn't that many trial scenes in this episode, in this story. They seem to be getting less and less before we get to the final one, of course, where the Doctor is just occasionally we'll have some stuff in the trial room just to remind us that, oh, it's still part of this this overarch trial story. But to be honest, without those bits, this one would probably work the best as its own standalone story, edited separately. So yeah, and as a standalone story, it's okay. It's got some good elements. I think the whole Vervoid menace thing actually is the weakest element of this story, because they don't really do an awful lot. And to be honest, I was actually quite engaged in the whole murder mystery. What are these people doing? These mysteries, secrets that people are hiding. This yeah, it was quite interesting just to go through kind of a mystery story in a way on this spaceship, and anyone and everyone is a suspect of A, murder, or B, doing something wrong, and most of them's got their own secrets or agendas, and it's quite interesting throughout the most parts. This is why the Vervoid stuff is actually my least favourite stuff, not because the creatures themselves look a bit silly, although they do. Yeah, they're on the cover. It's these guys. They look a bit silly. I mean, granted, it's a unique design, and it's better than just something quite lazy like the Tractatus, or worse, the Mestor from Frontos and Twin Dilemma. They actually have some sort of imagination for a vegetable creature, a plant creature like creation. However, they just didn't feel that interesting. They didn't feel that. Yeah, I think there could have been more with them. More Vervoid stuff, and it would have made Terror of the Vervoids feel like Terror of the Vervoids, but it really should be called Mystery on, or Mysteries. Yeah, Mysteries. Actually, I suppose we've got the Mysterious Planet. Maybe just Hyperion 3. Maybe, or I know, Cruise Liner of Death. Oh, that would have been a good one. Cruise Liner of Death, or Space Cruise Liner of Death. That might be a long title, but we've got the talent of Wang Chang, so yeah, and Pyramids at the End of the World. So yeah, it's not as long as those titles probably. Well, maybe Talons. Anyway, but yeah, the Vervoid stuff just felt like the weakest element of the story, because there wasn't that much dedicated to it. Although there are some good bits, and the whole of them just trying to get rid of the animal matter so that they can have a vegetarian existence. It would be interesting if there was a bit more of it, but the whole mystery stuff surrounding the people on the ship, that's actually quite interesting. We've got some good stuff there. And the Doctor and Mel's interactions with the characters are quite fun. Speaking of Mel, in the last review I said, oh gosh, she was the worst companion since Dodo. And I still stand by that. However, I don't dislike her as much as I used to. And this also goes the same for Audio Mel. She kind of like her a bit more in all the character overall due to the audios. However, for TV, I always found her a bit and then gradually, as I watched a few more stories, she was okay. Well, not too okay, but yeah. But now Yeah, I think she's okay. I think she's an okay character. I think she's a good character. It's just, I don't know whether Bonnie Langford was the best casting choice. And my God, do I hate it when she screams. Oh, I mean, I got annoyed with Nissa screaming every single story from Time Flight to Terminus, but at least that was just once a story, and she didn't do that regularly beforehand. I don't know why they decided to do it from that point onwards, but alright. And yeah, Susan and Victoria, oh god, they screamed so badly. But to be honest, their voices didn't really get on people's nerves when they talked. I think Bonnie Langford's just a bit too high pitched. No offense to the actress, I think she does a good job with the character. I don't know, just doesn't quite. I think she was a bit miscast, and I just hate the fact that they've turned her into the new Scream Girl of the companions. She's the screamiest companion since Victoria, including the once a story Nissa screams in the from Time Flight to Terminus. I think Perry might also scream a few times, but nowhere as near as bad. So yeah, we seem to be degrading the character, the companions' characters from going from a bit more smarter or tougher girl to kind of just being back to the eyes candy. I mean, yeah, you could do that as well, but they've also kind of started to degrade the personalities. So that was starting to happen with Perry, and it's now starting to happen with Mel. Thankfully, the next companion, Ace, would be a hell of a lot different to what we saw before. But we won't be on to Ace until Dragonfire next season, and may God have mercy on me when I get to that story. Okay, but yeah, I don't know. Mel's okay, but I think Bonnie Langford was miscast, and she's too screamy. And I also don't like the fact that this is not an introduction story to... Well, it is her first on-screen appearance, but it's not an introduction story. I think Big Finish eventually got around to doing that in 2013. I think with the wrong Doctors, I believe. I'm not quite sure, but they eventually got around to doing a Mel origin story, sort of. It's all wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff, because Mel from this story then has to come back and help a younger Sixth Doctor clear his, pretty much save the day in the next story. So it's all... time's all a bit ravelled. It's a bit confusing. I think it could have been a Sixth Doctor Mel origin story, or we could have had some sort of reference to that. They just talk about where she's from, Pease Pottage, which is in West Sussex, I believe. It's just south of Gatwick Airport, near Crawley. Yeah, I think it's West Sussex. I've got a map of it here. I like how they have different locations for different characters, where they're from. I think the M23 is kind of covered a bit, but it's here. Pease Pottage. It's even got its own service station. Yeah, I think that's West Sussex. Yeah, I'll say West Sussex. So let's just say south of Crawley, near Gatwick Airport, or the other way around. Anyway, so yeah, they don't really do that much with her. She's apparently a computer programmer person, although we don't really see a lot of that in, I don't think, any of her stories, to be honest. She doesn't really do her computer programming stuff. At least Perry, at least with Perry, sometimes she mentions that she's a botanist, or the Sixth Doctor brings it up. Though I don't know if she ever stated it on screen as one of what she did. When they met, or shortly afterwards. I think she just may have brought it up, or the Sixth Doctor said, "Oh, it might be interesting for a botanist like you." Maybe that was in the meanwhile in the TARDIS talking moments, or expanded media potential stories. But here, Mel's supposed to be a computer programmer, but she literally does nothing computer programming, and she is a fitness nerd, which we do see on screen. She's trying to get the Doctor to exercise and makes him drink carrot juice. For the record, I just sort of recreating what the Doctor said in that manner just then. I do not actually have an opinion on carrot juice. I've never actually tried it. But it's fun to play the Doctor. It's fun to reenact those scenes. So yeah, Mel is pretty much a exercise nerd, and I like how the Doctor sometimes sneakily doesn't do a little when he's on his exercise bike. He sneakily stops for a breather for a bit and just counts when Mel's out of the room, and then quickly goes back to what he's supposed to be doing when she comes back in with his carrot juice. I love doing that. I love doing. I'm going to do that a lot more, actually. Yeah, sorry if that annoys you, but I'm enjoying myself. So yeah, and the Sixth Doctor does want to stand by the sidelines throughout the story. He did get a distress call, but he does want to stand by the sidelines for a bit. However, after a man that he admired for his him trying to save the not save the youth, for his investigation involvement with I guess a intergalactic detective in a way. When he dies, the Sixth Doctor decides to get a bit more involved. Once again, Colin Baker is amazing as the Doctor, and I think the next story is going to cement him as a really great Doctor, both character and acting-wise. Yeah, it was a bit of a rocky road during season 22, albeit not as bad as it started out, but a bit of a rocky road. But with season 23, I think the Doctor is a bit more calmer, a bit more mellow, apart from when he's getting angry with the whole trial stuff. But in the segments, he's a bit more calmer. Yeah, mind what he did go evil, but that could have been done something with what happened with that thing, the machine, Croz's machine, or it could have been part of his plan, or both. And yeah, I think that, like I said then, I think only the Sixth Doctor would work in that scenario. I don't think any other Doctor would work. Maybe the 12th Doctor in Series 8, but or Hellbent, but I don't think any of the others would. And I think the Sixth Doctor continues to be pretty great here, and yeah, and I can see why some people would actually consider him one of their favourites, one of the newer the Sixth Doctor fans who have been popping up a little bit more on the internet in the last decade, which I fully support. By the way, I fully support you. If you love the Sixth Doctor, if he's your favourite or one of your favourite Doctors, and Colin's one of your favourite Doctor actors, that's absolutely fine. That's perfect for you. That's absolutely brilliant. I mean, he was one of my lower Doctors, but after going through all of these ones, I think he might bump up a little bit. It's very complicated when I'm trying to work out my Doctors list, because even the ones I love, well, I love all of them, every single one of them, but when it comes to which ones I love more, some of the ones that don't have as much love seem to fall back a bit, which is heartbreaking, to be honest, because I do love them in their own right. It's a massive shame. There's one or two Doctors, they don't even have that much television screen time, and I don't like that when that's used as an argument against them being. I don't like it when that's used as an argument against them, but when there's no other choice, I can understand. But enough about that. That's a subject for an entirely different video after Series 12 comes out. Which is season 13. Where are we? 23. Wow. Still about nearly 20 more seasons. Nearly. Yeah, there isn't really a huge amount of story in this one. I mean, I love the mystery stuff. I think that's a really good angle. And what's going on with Professor Lasky, played brilliantly by by the best guest star in this season, Hannah Blackman, aka Pussy Galore from Goldfinger. Oh god, this season has some very good supporting guest stars. Brian Blessed, Neil Shaban's back, Christopher Ryan, Michael Jason, Linda Bellingham. Even Tony Gilroy is really good as well. The only one I really didn't really like was the warrior queen lady from not warrior queen, tribal queen lady from Mysterious Planets. I wasn't really so keen on her, but I think she did a decent job with that character. But everybody else has been really good. So yes, I think season 23's got a really good guest cast list, and I think the side characters in this story are also really good. I like how the captain knows the Doctor beforehand. This is another case like Time Lash, where this is sort of a follow-up story to an adventure we haven't previously seen. Expanded media, if you haven't already done this is another story for you to make a prequel for. And yeah, I think some of the twists are interesting. I think they could have had a bit more development on some, like with these two alien guys that the Doctor's detective friend pretends to be one, and there's a nice little miss it if you look away and you miss it, or don't pay attention and you'll miss what the Doctor saw, and that's a nice moment. But the bit with the other two and this other guy teaming up to hijack the spaceship at the end of part 3, start of part 4, there isn't really that much motivation behind it. There isn't really much development on it. However, the mystery behind other stuff is a lot more interesting, and it's really good. And like I said, the trial stuff actually fits into the story a lot better than the last 2 stories. I mean, Mind Warp, it was doing it really well. This story does a little bit less, but it works really well when we do get it. Leaving the rest of the story, leaving the story itself, minus the trial stuff, to actually get on with telling the story, which was something. Mysterious Planet, it was the trial stuff was just getting, just kept interrupting every single other moment in that story, whilst Mind Warp and Terror of the Vervoids, they've been left to their own devices, only cutting in when they absolutely necessarily to, or when it's relevant to the overall story arc. And it provides us with a quite, scary, quite on your seat end. Well, for the last story ended on a pretty sad note. This one ends on a, oh dear, how is the Doctor going to get out of this one? Like, literally the most cliffhangery end of featuring a trial segment. This is the most cliffhanger when the Valiant decides it's time to change the Doctor's charges from meddling with the affairs of other peoples and planets to genocide. And because he had to get rid of the Vervoids, and otherwise they would have attacked Earth. So that brings us to the end of that story, and it's quite edge on the seat for the next story. And the next story is, of course, Ultimate Foe. And we shall now quickly wrap up Terror of the Vervoids, so we can then get on to the Ultimate Foe. So Terror of the Vervoids, I think this is a good story. I don't think it's particularly brilliant. I would have liked a bit more development on some angles, but I think other angles are done well, and the trial segments actually weave into the main plot pretty decently. I mean, yeah, I think it's possibly the best of the 3, merging their trial segments in with the plot, although Mind Warp also did a brilliant job with that. But yeah, some things could have been handled better with this story, but I think it's a good story nevertheless, and I always have enjoyed it, even depending on what my thoughts of good or bad is. I've always enjoyed this segment. So I'm going to give The Trial of the Time Lord, parts 9 to 12, Terror of the Vervoids, a 7 out of 10. I actually did give it an 8 after watching it, but then I decided, actually, no, I think 7 actually does work a bit better, and after talking about it a bit more, I think 7 is actually a good score. It's a good story. It's just, if it done a few more things better, then I think it would be a better story. Just to let you know, there are extended editions of these stories, and also, I think, also versions of these stories without trial segments. I'm not sure how that works with Ultimate Foe, on the Season 23 Blu-ray box set, so maybe those extended cuts might improve these stories in that sense. In maybe there could be a bit more done, like what we got here. Maybe some more stuff explained. Maybe there's more Vervoid stuff. Also, with those 6th Doctor fans I mentioned that have been popping up a bit more in the last decade on the internet, the Vervoids have been a kind of another thing that they've really liked. So, another shout out to those guys. Glad you could like these creatures. I think they could have had a bit more development as characters. They kind of seem to be just basic monsters that just so happen to be plants wanting to wipe out animal life. And I think they could have been a bit more centered around them. I mean, you do see them throughout the story, but there isn't a huge amount of these guys actually doing much until about part 3, I think. And then part 4 actually has the Doctor and companion, Mel, and friend trying to stop them. Yeah, but never mind. Anyway, next time is the final 2 episodes, parts 13 and 14 of The Trial of a Time Lord, The Ultimate Foe, and yeah, this is a great ending to Trial of a Time Lord. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Hello. Instead, it really should have been titled, what's the ship called? Hyperion 3. Mystery of Hyperion, or no, And I just hate the fact that they've turned her into the screamiest scream girl of the class. God help us with that story. And may God... it's south of London, anyway. Page 11. Yeah. Or the other. And yeah, and I think Colin Baker is anyway, that's enough about that. That could be a subject for an entirely different video. So yeah, and it also provides us with a pretty excuse me. But I think the story is and I think they could have had a bit more development on there. Anyway, next time is the 2-part finale. Yeah, the last 2 episodes.